Senator, I want to turn to these new emails released at the outset of COVID, specifically the written exchange between Christian Anderson and Andrew Rambout from February of 2020. Now, Dr. Rambout told Anderson that given this SHI, show that would happen if anyone serious accused the Chinese of even accidental release, my feeling is that we should say that given there is no evidence of a specifically engineered virus, we cannot possibly distinguish between natural evolution and escape, so we're content with ascribing it to natural process. Dr. Anderson concurred, saying, yep, I totally agree with that. It's a very reasonable conclusion, although I hate when politics is injected into science, but it's impossible not to, especially given the circumstances. Senator, this was happening at the same time. Christian Anderson had a grant proposal for $8.9 million at NIH, which makes this pretty interesting that they were talking about the proximal origins of COVID.
Yeah, this was never about science. This was about the business of science. It was about the money. Follow the money trail, and you see millions of dollars exchanging hands in the first few months of 2020 to the people who came out and said, nothing to see here, couldn't have happened in the lab. But there's probably never been a cover-up in the history of all politics that was so completely documented that they were lying to us. Every one of their private emails says, oh my goodness, looks like it might have come from the lab. Oh my goodness, looks like it was manipulated. And this goes on and on and on. Even so much as to say the one lead virologist who's saying it's all kooky and conspiracy theory, to say it came from the lab, he's saying in private, this is no conspiracy theory. This is not a fringe theory. In all likelihood, it could have come from the lab. But then in public, they print an article that Anthony Fauci commissions them. He basically says you need to get this written up as soon as possible. He works on them to edit this. And when it is published, it says explicitly, this virus is not a laboratory construct. None of them believed that they knew with certainty that it wasn't, but they thought it would harm the business of science and it would harm our relations with China if it became known that this came from a lab in China.
Senator, this was because enormous amounts of money were on the line with the work that we were doing with this Wuhan lab and all the grants that these researchers and virologists get from NIH, correct? That's all involved in all this.
Yeah, it involves money. But as you'll recall, when Anthony Fauci came before my committee, he said absolutely he funded no gain-of-function research in China. But we now have an email from him where he describes the research they're doing and says, you know what? We are suspicious of the lab because we know they are doing gain-of-function research. He describes the project, but the project he described is the project he funded. So everything he's been telling us from the very beginning has been a lie. We've documented that it's a lie, and it's a felony to lie to Congress. And so I've referred him not once, but now twice to the Attorney General of the United States for prosecution. Yeah. But as you know, this Attorney General is the most partisan Attorney General we've ever had, and it's good luck on getting him to do his job.